first thing I did, I got my student loan and I bought a motorbike. And I was like, I don't have any money now to actually pay for my fees. So then what I did, and one of my very, very close friends used to work at Burberry, and this is like, and we're talking 20 years ago, and he kind of he got me access to the Burberry sample sale. So what I did is I borrowed some money, went to the Burberry sample sale, and I bought everything. And as a function of that, I went onto eBay and I sold everything, and then I actually made money to pay for university. So whilst everyone was studying and doing the whole thing seriously and stuff, I was just there making money. And alhamdulillah, you know, it was halal. I mean, tax aside, it was halal. But you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I started, and that really does summarize who I am as a person. So even after I graduated, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was thinking, you know what? I'm just gonna start hustling like I've done always, man. And just on the way here, subhanAllah, bro, I was talking to one of my close friends, and he, at the time after we graduated, he joined Goldman Sachs, and I said, "What's a Goldman Sachs?" He's like, "Bro, it's an investment bank." And I was like, "What the hell is an investment bank?" All I know is Barclays, Halifax, High Street. You know, that's all I know. And it was a bit of an awakening. So after graduation, I just about graduated. You know, low 2.2. And I was thinking, that's it. I need to get to this city. What's happening in London, man? That's where the money is. So I managed to get a job at multiple places consistently. I won't go into the details, but I got fired like 3 times for lying on my CV, for doing all types of silly stuff. And then eventually I got a job in BlackRock. And again, it wasn't like a planned thing. I was just hustling. And at the time, this same motorcycle that I had, I would literally wake up in the morning and I made looking for a job in the city a full-time job. There were a couple of job boards at the time, and every day, man, I'd just spend hours speaking to recruitment consultants saying, does anyone need someone like on a temporary basis? And that was kind of my transition into the kind of professional banking, finance, professional services world. And my thing was just survival, because I had bad grades. I wasn't very good at any job, to be honest, and it was just about survival. And then alhamdulillah, I managed to get into BlackRock. Don't ask me how, but actually you can ask me how. It was through a recruitment consultant. They needed someone for 2 weeks. I was like, yep, I'll go. I ended up staying there for 2 years. And during that process, that's when the financial crash happened, you know, 2009, when the whole world went mad, upside down. And then based upon that, I was like, look, and it's a crazy story. I was studying Islamic finance at the time, and that was going to be the big thing, you know, 2009, that was going to be the big thing. And I just used that, started studying the IFQ, which was the only kind of Islamic finance real qualification at the time, on my, you know, off my own back. No one helped me do it. I wanted to do it. And then in kind of after 2 years of BlackRock, it was Barclays, they got acquired by BlackRock. I just thought, you know, I want to head to Saudi Arabia, man. And it was kind of driven by this desire to want to do Islamic finance. If you're going to do Islamic finance, surely you've got to be in an Islamic country. And I somehow, again, through a friend who had just joined KPMG in Saudi Arabia, that's how I got to Saudi Arabia, man. So yeah, it's I'm not your typical, okay, well, listen, this guy was very successful at university and education and he killed it and he had that traditional career. No, man, I did the kind of the graft to, and it's not like a graft to brag about. It's just I didn't have any other options. My other option, it was either join BlackRock and literally I was speaking to to my friend on the way here. It was BlackRock or Costco. A management accountant in Costco or work as an associate in BlackRock. It's a no-brainer. So, alhamdulillah, man. It's just that whole period was just me exploring, you know, the corporate world and so on. None of my family historically have worked in the city. My father was, you know, local, you know, owned a small takeaway and a mini cab office, and you know, so we were local people. We weren't like going to the city was like an experience, you know. So alhamdulillah, that's kind of what got me to Saudi. And that's when wow, people pay for this type of consulting advice, and okay, how does it work? Who are the customers? You know, what are they buying, and so on and so forth. So
just before we go into that part, so I think it's a really interesting segue. So just before we get to Saudi, obviously, because that's going to be a part that we obviously have so much in common and we're going to be discussing a lot, but and we go into the specific consultancy companies that you've set up now, which would, but this is what's really interesting to me, because throughout that kind of introduction, you've mentioned a number of times that somehow this happened. Somewhere this recruitment agent came. Somehow that you were able to, get a job in BlackRock, something that you never expected. And that's exactly what's fascinating to me, is how there's this somehow, which is basically qadr, right? This 100%. Is what fate, you can say, right? And so it's a nice kind of point to move into, what does actually power and destiny mean to you as an individual, right?
So it's I mean, you're 100% right, bro. Like, in my life, there's so many things when you're kind of going through it, you can't figure out why these things are happening. But when you kind of look at it in hindsight and you're looking at it backwards, it's easier to connect the dots. How did things happen? Why did things happen? And so on. But if I can say there's one constant in my life, which is, and it might seem a bit cliche, it's just, instilled within us from my parents, which is, you look after mum, dad, and 2 brothers. That's your priority. If you're good to them and you're getting some basic things under your belt, a bit of salah and just a bit of, just that grounding within, and the stuff that we as a family did well, it's not necessarily the kind of, the hard doctrine Islamic thing. It's just it's the part where religion and culture kind of overlap. So, just looking after people, do unto people how you'd want to be dealt with yourself, and just being honest and just hardworking. These things are cultural, but I think a lot of people dismiss these as, these things are just normal, but they are inherently within our deen as well. Yeah. So, and despite never ever really being like super religious, these things are cultural, but they are forms of ajr, which for me, even now, alhamdulillah, 2 businesses, multi-million dollars and stuff like that, this is still inherent within the essence of the businesses, because they are that important. As with 20 years later, it's easy to say, but that's how I or ascribe that the success that was then. When I look back now, it could only have been that. It couldn't really have been anything else, because I wasn't really doing anything else, man. There was just about an internet then. That's me, I'm crazy old, right? There was just about an internet then. There was no social media then. So it was just qadr, blessings from parents, being good to other people, just getting on with what you had to do, which is, and I think everyone needs this to some extent.
Yeah.
They need someone like a friend, or and this is, like your mum and dad will say this, but you don't ever really take it serious. But the quality of your friends really does dictate a lot of what happens. So even qadr is, the qadr starts from the advice of your parents, but acting upon it as well. So my friend joined